my spell list?
You would not have a chance to cast it.
No. I'm.
I mean, it's not one of your prepared spells.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
This was a one-time kind of narrative thing. Maybe.
Sweet.
We'll see. All right. So, unfortunately, that's going to take you guys out a little bit, though we're drawing close to the end. You four, what do you wish to do? Head up to the Noble District, yes?
I think we'll... Go ahead.
Well, since we have a limited time with that pass, and we know we've got a friend in trouble up there, or at least seem to be in trouble, we should probably go.
Okay, that's 2-4.
Yeah, I agree. I think Caspian will just kind of make sure that these two maybe get towards a bed or something and let people know they're in there, and then we'll...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vic was going to turn to the others and say, "Who's on dwarf shoveling duty today?"
Not it.
Fayla, you're the strongest. Come on.
No.
I see those goblin muscles. You're not a green dog.
I'm a dog. I don't speak English.
The goblin is speaking nonsense.
It's a Gibbs slap.
No. Okay, fine.
All right. So as you guys make your way to the Noble District, I know that a locate spell is going to be cast. Who is its intended target?
It's considerably smaller range. Did I'm gonna forget the name of it. Your tracking ability get a fix on where in the Noble District she was, or?
It's not that as accurate. It's kind of a general type sense, whereas locate is a much more kind of direct, beamy sort of thing. So greater range, less accuracy, and then the other one's shorter range, much more accuracy.
So the question is, where should I cast it at all if we're going to use it to try to find her?
Well, we narrowed it down to like a couple of houses.
That's for the large man.
If we are operating under the assumption that she is in the same place as him.
Interesting.
Yeah, she wouldn't have gone up there for no reason, so she may have had a clue. Yeah, I guess we can head there first. On the way, I'll be keeping my ears peeled for guards shouting and chasing somebody.
Okay. So you guys make it over to where you had investigated before. Unfortunately, these spells effects weren't exactly long enough to exactly pinpoint where you needed. But you move over to that area, you cast locate, and you are trying to locate Sunny. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Actually, before we cast, can I use Primeval Awareness on both Sunny and the creature to see if they're in like the same general direction?
Okay, so once you get up there, you kind of reach out. Attack. Just reading up if there's any like. It's just a feature you can use at will. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It just requires concentration.
All right. So before Vic casts this spell, as you kind of reach out and touch, first you reach out for Sunny, more on the northwest side. You still feel the panic, fear, and being this close, pain. As you reach out to that large creature, again, you don't feel that grandiose kind of raging presence or that jovial kind of laughter from that big bastard. It is very much to the east. I'll let you figure out or come up with what exactly is going on.
I sent Sunny to the northwest, but the creatures to the east, so they're not together.
And we're already at the east end of the Noble District, correct?
That is correct.
Further east would be where?
So again, you guys are on the kind of outskirts. You know it's somewhere within that cluster.
Oh, so it's still somewhere within the Noble District, roughly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like maybe out somewhere else in the city.
Kaladin, when you sense the larger presence, you definitely would feel more of a proximity sort of effect. Though again, you can't absolutely pinpoint it. You know you're close. Your quarry is very near.
Well, if Sunny is in pain, then I believe that should be our focus. I'll go ahead and cast Locate Creature on her.
Okay. So you get that pinpoint kind of arrow, and you know time is of the essence. I imagine you guys are kind of half running across the Noble District, not trying to draw attention to yourselves, obviously, but trying to maximize every last bit of this. You kind of track it down, and you're not certain as the spell's going to wear off before you get there. However, it is going to lead you to a building that seems a little different from the rest. You don't think it's the great kind of Tenyo Council that would sit at the very far north. A few residential spaces to the left, you see a building, and it's a little out of place from the rest. It looks like it had a different function, maybe in the past. Maybe it was almost like maybe used as a place of worship. But it looks like just a normal, it's been converted over time to be some sort of almost a normal estate. But you can see almost, whereas most of the houses have like stone gates and nice and smooth things, this is like a wrought iron sort of gate that's been cast black in its creation. And you can see all sorts of kind of fiddly bits and spikes on the top of this fence. On the other side, you do see some of the topiaries, but it's not kind of sculpted and into like animal shapes and that sort of things. It's basically just your traditional kind of hedges that have the straight, smooth type cuts. In the windows, you can see the glass. Some of them have been replaced, but you still see remnants of what would have been stained glass. Some of the windows have been in a bit of disrepair, but you don't see a lot of movement going on at this estate.
Do the topiaries seem like they've been taken care of recently? Do they look a little overgrown?
Are they as well kept as the rest? No. Do they look like they've been overgrown? Not really. However, again, it's not been done to perfection. Somebody obviously is caring for this estate, just not with the same care as most of the other nobles would do so.
Don't suppose anybody knows who lives here.
I don't think any of us are very familiar with the nobles, Vic.
That was worth a shot. Shall we do a little B&E?
Right, Green Dog. You're the one that's good at the B at that point.
Yeah.
All right. Again, there is a gate with the topiaries, or the like the hedges on the other side. How do you guys propose said B?
Before we go in, can Kaelin look at the ground and see if there's like recent tracks that have been going through the gate?
Yeah, you can make a see, tracks would be under survival if I'm not mistaken.
Usually.
Mm-hmm. As you kind of glance around the grounds, there's not a lot of free eye real estate, so you're gonna have to kind of look where the main entry gates are. And as you kind of look, you do see kind of a cobbled, stony path. As you look about the yard, you can see that the grass that grows here is not very well kept up, as it is very high. Oh, maybe a good 8 inches or so. You don't see really anything that's been trampled, however.
How easy does the hedge fence look to climb over?
It looks more menacing than physically imposing, although the spiked bits at the top might give you a little bit of trouble. Anybody who's decent or dexterous or strong enough could scale this.
This would have been a really good time for an Epsi fail.
A good time for a what?
An Epsi fail.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
All right. Do you want to scale this fence?
Sure.
All right. DC 12. Athletics.
You want it in the bucket or out front?
It's up to you.
Athletics, not acrobatics. I'm sorry.
Do you have the same modifier? I imagine your strength's probably better.
No, my strength is high.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Or not.
Oh, so I mean, it's still to scale it. Yeah, and your strength is definitely better. The green dog kind of eyes the bars, kind of hunches down, does a couple bounces, and leaps up, grabs hold of the bars, and just chuck, goes up and over, kind of sits there on the top of the hedge.
What do I see from up here?
All right, so you can see the grounds from here, and you can actually see what appears to be another building off to the kind of left-hand side. It is completely kind of surrounded in overgrowth, but it looks like maybe it was some sort of very large shed, perhaps. As far as the structure itself, you can see very well to the second story. You do see movement kind of going in and out of the windows. There are people inside.
Well, that's not good. There's people in there.
Well, try and get the gate open.
Okay.
So, try to jump down from the fences quietly as you can.
Okay. Not a problem, as the grass is very tall here. It helps dampen the sounds as you kind of down. You start slinking over to the fence, and you can see kind of far in on the stone posts that this is kind of attached to. You see the mechanism that you would need to kind of undo so the gate would open. You kind of pop it to the side and start pushing the gate, and you hear sound of metal creaking. The gate is open.
Well, shall we investigate her shadows?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, and you guys are skulking about, yes? So let's do
Yes.
some stealth checks. I imagine we're going to have pass without trace, so we'll add the 10.
Of course, we will have it. And I have my hood up as well.
Okay.
I can't roll, but I do roll with advantage because Boots of Elvenkind.
I am with ya. Come on, Unity. Fix all my Fantasy Grounds issues. And skills.
Good lord.
Stealth.
Oh, that's supposed to be a 39. If we got the plus 10 to pass without trace.
And Vic, you got a 22 plus 10. Yeah. You guys are doing pretty good here. Even with an 18 is still pretty good, as you guys are kind of slinking in and around, trying to find cover where you can. What's your first objective here?
So you said that there's like a shed to the side where
There
she
is.
saw people move?
She saw people move on the second floor of the manor.
Well, do we want to try and like look around the bottom floor for like a way in to the building?
It couldn't hurt to inspect the shed first. If she's hurt and panicked, she's either captured or she's trying to hide.
Very well, lead on then.
Okay, so you move over towards the shed. As you guys kind of investigate, again, there's some overgrowth there. You do see what appears to be the door, but the overgrowth is so high you can't really tell how exactly it would open. Does anybody want to approach first? Or approaching as a group?
I said Vic should lead the way.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that. I'll step ahead of the group.
All right. So when you get up to the shed and kind of, again, this overgrowth is rather high. Think maybe 4 foot tall or so. So kind of slinking down is definitely giving you guys ample coverage as far as kind of sneaking. You'll get up to it and you see what appears to be a very large padlock.
Seems rather high security for what looks to be a garden shed. Go ahead and bust out the thieves' tools, I suppose.
No problem. We got you covered. Thieves' tools. Loot. No, I'm kidding. Forgery kit, thieves' tools. Did you get any sort of advantage for this?
No, I just get a +5 bonus, but that's built into it.
I see it there. All right. So we'll drop it in the bucket. Vic gets to work, and after maybe a minute or so, very quickly figures out this device and pops it open. The bottom half just kind of falls to the ground.
Well, I'll kind of like wave the others over. Well, shall we proceed?
Indeed. Let's hope she's okay.
All right, you guys kind of push these doors open. It's kind of hard to move with all the foliage that's overgrown. You push it off to the side. This room is roughly 15 by 20 or so. It's a rather large shed. Inside, you see all sorts of fun things. You see bits of wood kind of scattered about, kind of thin. Some of it has been kind of stained and lacquered. Off to one side, you see, it looks like somebody is in mid-process of building something. Maybe a crude canoe, but it's very flat. In the back, you see, typically you would find these on the outside of like basements that would kind of flip open and would have stairs going down. Usually it's like that double door that's on the outside of some of the older homes. You see one of those, but inside. It also has a lock. The lock is made of a very black kind of cast or wrought iron. But it's not the material that really catches your guys' eye. It's the shape in which it's in. It's almost in the shape of a skull. One of the eye sockets has cleverly been used as where the skeleton key would fit in. And did everybody get the reference to the canoe?
I did not.
A flat canoe. It's a coffin.
Yeah, I did not pick up on that.
Mm-mm.
I have a weird question.
Answer?
Does the shed look like it was built in the same style as the main structure? Or does it look like it was built after it was converted from whatever religious purpose it once had?
History check. Let's see what we got here. All right, rolling here. And yeah, we'll give it to you. You rolled a nat 20.
Nice.
All right, so you can tell at an initial glance, a casual observer would know that this would think that this shed was built much more recently. But being inside and kind of seeing its construction, although it's not in the same stylistic way that the manor was built, you imagine that it was built roughly around the same time. But a casual observer would not come to that conclusion.
Interesting. So either somebody remodeled the outside, or it's just somebody didn't really care to do too much with the style.
That could be.
Food for thought.
Well, I can't say I appreciate the decor here very much. That's a gruesome looking lock.
Indeed, and I suppose if she has been captured, this may be the type of place that they would put her. Faley, when you saw people in the building, they seemed to be running about, or were they just wandering?
I will describe their movements. It didn't look like they were running or anything like that. It just looked like people kind of passing by, walking about.
Not the type of behavior you would expect if they knew there was an intruder, so I think it's safe to say she has been captured.
Well, why don't we make sure this door is shut, we can't be seen from the second floor, and see if we can't make Mr. Skull open his mouth.
All
I
right.
shall certainly give it my best.
So shutting the door, no problem. As you kind of take a look at this, do you wish to try to pick the lock?
Well, given how strange it looks first, I'd like to give it a once-over, see if there's any traps.
All right. So since Azur can't see this, you take a moment, scratch your chin, investigate. You don't see anything obvious. No, that's not good enough. So you try to look for something unobvious. You don't really see anything, no.
Alright, I'll go ahead and attempt to pick the lock then.
All right. As you've got pretty good skill here. You get, right? you start to get to work, kind of, using your tools, trying to be delicate at first, just, God forbid, it was trapped. You work at it. It's going to take you a good maybe 4 or 5 minutes, but you finally pop that lock, and you kind of hear, or you think that maybe you hear a little bit of a
Before I remove the lock, I'm just gonna sit and listen and see if I hear anything else for a minute.
Okay, so everybody's entitled to listen checks. Azur's going to get advantage for being so close. I say listen, but I mean perception. And beep, boop, beep. Perception. Click advantage. Don't make me do the work. Okay. Wow, good rolls. Let's see. Caspian, Phaley, you guys don't really hear much. Kaladin, you faintly hear voices, but you can't really make out much beyond that. Vic. Inside, you do hear a few voices. You can't make out any distinct conversation or anything like that. But you swear you hear the sound of almost like metal being drug across something smooth like stone. Almost like chains.
Before we go any further, I am going to go ahead and, because we did have the issue with the front gate earlier, I am going to go ahead and cast Silence just right around us. So if I open this door up and it creaks, it will be silenced.
Ah, fair enough. And duly noted. And you guys are indeed opening the door?
Unless anyone has any objections.
We can't say them, we're silenced.
Haha.
That is true.
Sign language.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Yeah. Okay, so you pop open the doors, and they are just silent as the dead. And looking down, it is very, very dark. You think that you see a faint flicker of light, but you know that it's probably not going to be enough to truly light your path as the staircase kind of descends down. Does anybody wish to strike up a torch? Does anyone have dark vision?
I have dark vision.
I will look with my elf eyes.
Yeah, I also have dark vision.
I think I do too.
Oh, that's
Your
awesome.
elf eyes see.
That's definitely going to be to your guys' advantage. So you guys start moving down the steps. again, you're pretty silent as it's kind of those stone, very smooth steps. You get about maybe 10 foot down these steps. You can start to see the wear and tear that's been on them, but that's not what truly gains your attention. It's the smell. It's the smell of iodine and something else. You can't place it, but you know that you've smelled this before. The only thing that kind of comes to mind is the smell of it that happens naturally in battle. You guys continue to descend down the stairs another 20 feet or so. It levels off into a very long hallway. You would estimate with dark vision, there is a couple torches in the center about 40 foot away. You can't quite see the other side. You're guessing maybe 80 to 100 foot long. In the center, obviously, again, you have that dark vision, but you can see what looks like the outline and shadows of metal bars stretching up and out. Being down this close, every now and then you'll hear kind of the clatter and movement of chain or a kind of a grunt sound. You wish to proceed further.
Just turn to the others and whisper, I believe we found a dungeon.
This is not what I was expecting beneath a shed in the Noble District.
Must be a
Well,
politician's
what happened
house.
to the basement in the last building we went into in the Noble District?
You know, I'm beginning to think it's a good thing we don't live in the Noble District.
Portals to other realms, secret cabals, dungeons.